Gen C podcast. Welcome to the Gen C podcast. I'm your host, JP Jackson, and today we have Dr. Nicole Daniels. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you very much.
AKA Chomi. So for those that don't know you, who is Nicole Daniels?
So I am somebody who grew up in Kraaifontein.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, when I was born, I started off in Mitchells Plain, moved to Strandfontein, and when I was 4 years old, we ended up in Kraaifontein. I have one sibling, or biological sibling. I actually have 5 other siblings now. And so I grew up in Kraaifontein with my parents until I was with both parents until 2010. My parents then separated and I lived with my mom and my sister. We then moved to, then we went from Kraaifontein to Bellville to Brackenfell. But one thing my mother tried to keep consistent was that we stay in the same schools and we stay
regardless
together.
of where you went.
Regardless of where we went, she would drop us every morning and make a way for us to be there. So after that, we moved back to Kraaifontein because we just can't get away, and we ended up. I then went to UCT, and that's basically where I started. I met my husband when I was 17.
So we'll give Mark some airtime later.
Okay. But I met him and he was there throughout everything.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's great, man. So then what made you decide to become a doctor? So was it like you were like forced to be a doctor, or that was the only thing you needed to do? Or did you want to be a doctor?
So actually, when I was 8 years old, I realized I love helping people.
Oh.
And so for me, it was either animals or people. So at first I wanted to be a vet. And then I realized I am terrified of animals. So that was not going to work. I then decided that I would be a doctor. But the thing about me is once I've decided something, I go for it.
Okay.
So I went for it. I persevered at school, did all the research to look up all the different things. And yes, I was that nerd in grade 7 that did the presentation about the brain while everyone was talking about the latest music.
Yes.
So that was me.
So then how did you stay focused? Because you stayed in Kraaifontein at the time, and sometimes you needed to actually like take a taxi to get to UCT or do all of these things to actually get your degree. I mean, some people might find that demotivating at stages. Why do I have to wake up super early to get this? So what was that drive? It's just your personality.
Actually, it's my mother.
Oh, wow.
She doesn't allow me to give up on things. When I feel like giving up, she is there. So sometimes she'll come with a tough love and realize that doesn't always work with me. But I actually lived on the residence at the university.
Okay. Nice.
And the reason why I got that was actually because so I had to fill in financial aid. My parents could not afford to pay my full tuition. And
which is not very common with people that look like us.
Definitely. So I actually got it when I went to the open day. I got a form and it had the wrong date on. It actually had financial aid that was due for the following year.
Oh.
So I didn't know I had to apply. And come December, I'm accepted. And
now you need to.
Who's going to pay for this? And basically then what I did was I went to the financial aid office with my parents after I got accepted. They looked at the form and they realized this is an error on their part.
Okay.
There was this lovely woman of color sitting there that advocated for, she really wanted people like us to, excel in life.
Yes.
So she really pushed for it for me to be accepted. And that's how I ended up actually going to the residence because they were able to cover that part as well.
Oh, nice. And then, did you find that you were then able to focus more on the studies and have a clearer picture?
Definitely, because when I went home on weekends, I noticed that it takes 2 hours to drive from Kraaifontein in the morning, and it doesn't matter what time you leave. You will be stuck in traffic forever. And that makes the day quite long.
Yeah.
And then, so living there really made a big difference. But I also missed my family a lot.
Yes.
I'm very family orientated, so that was quite difficult for me at first. My first birthday in the residence was very sad because my birthday is quite early in the year. And so I felt very sorry for myself, but it was okay.
But I mean, like you said, there was a certain person that's been there all this time.
Definitely.
And since the age of 17. He's also in the room, so you can talk to him if you want to. But how has Marquin assisted in that journey for you?
So because Marquin has a very ambitious personality, and the way he carries himself, and the fact that he's so confident and always motivated me also to just go for what I really want. He really inspired me. He himself did 2 degrees, so that just, and he never gave up, which showed me that, you know what, because he's a bit older than me, he still went for it.
Yes.
So I thought, like, why can't I?
You all glossed over the bit older than you. So
yes, true.
What's the age gap between you and Marquin?
So we are 11 years apart.
Yes.
Some people would say we are in 2 very different phases of our lives at the time. But what I do see is that we've grown together. And there are qualities that he has that I wish I had. Yes. But I don't need, because we are a unit.
Oh, amazing. Yes. And I also find, I also have a unique relationship with myself, and that qualities that my wife brings out of me is also a lot better than what I had in anything else. So, Nicole, you are currently also pregnant at this stage. How do you find being pregnant and being a full-on doctor?
It has its challenges. I also have a 1-year-old at home. So, to me, it's always been about, if I'm doing something, that's what I'm focused on right now. So although I have to take care of myself and look after my baby that is currently growing, I also need to take care of the patients.
Yes.
And for me, it has been challenging at times because ward rounds can get long and your tummy can get very heavy. But otherwise, I feel that it's been okay. Yeah. And I am still going to push myself to the very end so that I can still give the patients the best quality care that they deserve.
And something you brought up earlier, but also not something that happens often, is when you are actually treating patients, a lot of them thought that you were the nurse and not the actual doctor. Yes. So how did you handle that?
So at first it used to bother me quite a lot because I feel that I've worked very hard, studied very long for this degree, but I also know that it's the mindset that people of color have, that if you are the colored lady, you are probably the nurse. Yes. So it doesn't affect me as much anymore because I realize they're not doing it intentionally. It is just, that is how they grew up. Yeah. And these are the people they were exposed
to.
And
I'm not saying that there isn't a place for nurses, and there isn't
Definitely.
A place for nurses. They have a very important role in healthcare. It's just the mindset that we need to change, that people like us are actually doctors now. Yes. They are actually lawyers now. They are actually people in those professions. I'm not saying that that's where you must always be, but to recognize that people that are in those spaces have worked hard to be there. Exactly. And so we should give them their flowers.
Definitely. And I also think that because we all have our different roles to play, and people have different needs for what they want in their futures and what kind of work they would like to do. And I feel that the nurses that we have, very amazing nurses that we work with, there are some of them that would go above and beyond for those patients. And so that is the type of job they prefer. It's more hands-on caring for the patient, whereas we as the doctors, we tend to just come in, see the patient, and then we kind of leave, make the plan, but the nurse does all of the caring.
Yes.
So
that's super important.
it's very important.
Yeah. So then what was your opinion on the content we've released so far? So you've seen a bit of the Gen Z content and just the message we're trying to give. What's your take on what we've been speaking about?
I think it's very good. Like you hit the nail on the head. It's things that people in our generation should be talking about. And we like to, as millennials, I feel we are people that like to express ourselves.
Yes.
And I think it's things that the older generations do not like to speak about,
Yes.
but definitely have thought about. So it's just, how do I say? Basically, starting the conversation between the two.
And that's really what we're looking at. I'm not, from my perspective, I don't have the answers. I actually just want to get the answers from other people as well, so that we can get a collective voice as, this is actually the way we should be going. I don't know everything, but I'm very eager to learn what's the right way. So then, if you could tell your younger self something, and I know it's not like you're that old, but if you could tell your younger self something, what would that nugget or piece of advice be?
So there was one thing throughout my university career that I didn't do. You get those hoodies at the university, and it tells you what faculty you are in and all of that. I never bought one because I didn't think I was going to make it to the end. And so what I would tell myself is, you know yourself.
Yes.
You know what you are capable of. So if you're going to go for something, do it properly.
Yeah.
And you will finish then.
Amazing. Thank you very much for coming, Nicole.
That's
and thank you for joining. So if you like the content, please engage below, like, share, subscribe, and we out. Peace.